data visualization per se, specifically in this session. Okay, let's move on to a little bit of more nitty-gritties. We had plans to kind of understand what are the best practices on data visualization. So I have a number on my screen, 128 glucose. That's good to know that basically it's a number which is giving somebody's glucose. I still do not know whose it is. That's mine. Whose it is, whether it is good, bad, what is the trend, and so forth. Okay, I just added one more piece of information. Which says that it is red in color, which means that glucose is on the higher side in my blood, if it's my blood test. It's still not good enough. Let me see what are the trends over last 3 years. And I basically draw a small spark line which shows what is the glucose trend over last couple of years. And then it shows me, okay, I've been going up and down on glucose, but does it show me, is it good, bad? And if the color basically shows up on your screen, I have basically plotted lower limits and the upper limits on the background, so you can see this is essentially where it has hit the upper limits and where it has hit the lower limits. Let's pull up some other data as well, right? Temperatures over last 3 years, WBC and RBC counts over last 3 years. And suddenly this data or the piece of data has become more meaningful than just one piece of information that we had right at the beginning, which is glucose 128. Right. The lines that you are seeing are essentially spark lines, and the spark lines have got power to compact in a huge amount of data where you really don't want to go through individual data numbers, but just pay attention to what are the trends. When is it hitting the upper thresholds and the lower thresholds, and you exactly know what are the patterns that it is following. Right. We can make it far more complex. We can use spark lines along with small multiples. So you're seeing basically what is called as small multiples across states. Each panel is representing one state in United States, and you're seeing the unemployment rates across almost 10 years worth of data. Sorry, it's more than 10 years. But it's interesting to see that the trends are so compact that you can actually in one small or probably even half the screen, you're able to see exactly what's happening in each state and what are the trends in unemployment across various states. And you can compare one state versus another in a single view of data. If you literally translate this data to a tabular format, this will run into a huge thousands of records. And even if you use best of pie charts or bar charts, it's going to be absolutely difficult to represent this data. Let me pull up another one in the corner, which is a heat map, and this makes it even more denser. And the point I'm driving is data visualization drives the point to give your visual perception maximum amount of data so that you can perceive and digest huge amounts of data in a very short duration. So what you're seeing on a stamp size heat map is essentially 10 million customers of a telecom company. And you're seeing specific patterns of this customer base, which is about almost 10 billion. I can almost select a corner of the data and I can decide to run a campaign with that small corner, which would be still now maybe hundreds of thousands of customers. That's basically which lets you to kind of start focusing on, take a bigger picture first, take a look at the whole bigger picture, and then zoom down to what specific you would want to do with data visualization or with the campaign or the specific business initiative. Let's move on to see some of the best practices. Here are some of the best practices around data visualization. There is a lot of literature available, not that we are trying to cover everything, but these are some of the common mistakes that we do in our visualization. Using unnecessary amount of ink, which is called as ink ratio. So you can see that where you have no background and the lines being removed is far more readable, and it has got a very slow, it has got a very less ink ratio. Right? So is the information chunk or the jar chunk, where you can see that 3D bars have been used where it actually doesn't represent any information. It doesn't give any more value. It doesn't add any more value to your data. It could have been very well represented using just 2D diagrams. But we just end up getting sometimes too creative to show 3Ds and 2Ds, where you can simply have line charts for that matter. Right? So some of this aspects like data ink ratio, data density, chart chunk, and there are a lot more concepts which are very consciously used when you're using or when you're creating a data visualization. Let's move on. Now let's get to the technology part of data visualization.